I'm officially back from my trip to Japan where I was seeking out the rarest cards in the world. And by the way, if you're a fan of TCGs, I highly recommend, if you can, you go to Japan and just seek out the TCG lifestyle over there because it's completely different than it is over here. Like when I went to the shops and asked to see a card, over here, people will be like, oh yeah, here's a card, you know, they'll yank it out the top loader and throw it at you. Over there, they literally will bring them out in like a little cloth tray with a light, a magnifying glass, and gloves, and let you look at it that way. They treat it like jewelry, which I get. You know, the cards can be pretty expensive, but that kind of like threw me off when I first saw that. But yeah, all right, let's hop into it because we have a lot of cards to show, and I don't want this to be so crazy long. First thing I got was this Horus level 8, which is a very cheap card. I think this is like 50 bucks with the conversion in the end. The English version of this card is insane. I think if you're looking to buy it raw, you're looking for at least a couple $1,000. Not even kidding me. If you happen to get a 10, I have not seen a 10 listed like ever, except for like once. And one time I did, it was like 10 grand. I don't know if it's sold or not, but it's insane. I mean, Ultimate Rares in English are just a whole different beast for the older cards. But yeah, but this is a friend for, This is a gift from my friend Ceriax, who's a big fan of the card. I remember I saw it, I was like, yeah, I gotta get it. And these Ultimate Rares, especially these old school ones, look beautiful. So yeah, he doesn't care about grading, so it's not gonna be like one of those things that's gonna get graded. I'm sure he's just gonna keep it in this magnetic case when he gets it. But Ceriax, if you happen to see this video, this is coming your way. I have a couple of cards I bought on eBay while in Japan, which I know is kind of like cheating because like you went to Japan, but these came from the shop. The reason why is because in the process of looking for cards, I would also look on eBay while I was seeking cards out, and I would see good deals. First things first, we got the quintuplets Weiss Schwarz promos. These cards, the art on these are amazing, immaculate even. I've gotten this set before one time. The grades came back with Nino being a 10, Itsuki and Yotsuba, and I think Ishika all had 9.5s, and then Miku had a 9. That card was absolutely just beat up. But yeah, these cards are like insanely hard to find. I don't know what it is. Maybe because they're promo cards and they're very playable in the deck as well. They don't exist in English at all. I think for the Japanese version, they're like all over eBay, but for the English ones, they just don't exist. And if you happen to know anybody that has more of these in English, reach out to me because I'm trying to get this as a 10, man. I want to at least get Itsuki as a 10. That was my favorite of the quintuplets. But yeah, I saw this while I was in Japan. I offered up the person. I think they only had Miku listed, and I messaged them like, "Hey, do you have more?" And they're like, "Yeah, I got all of them." I'm like, "Please, I buy the entire set. Let me know." So I got these for pretty cheap. I'm gonna send them off to get graded next couple of days. And unfortunately, Itsuki, my favorite, has a dot on the back. So yeah, this is going to be probably a 9.5 again, if not a 9, which sucks. But it is what it is. One of these days, I might get this as a 10. But for now, whatever. Again, the art on these are just great. If you don't know what Weiss Schwarz is, by the way, they own so many different IPs. They have like, they got Avatar: The Last Airbender coming out in the near future, along with Chainsaw Man. They had, they released High School D&D, Sword Art, Overlord, quintuplets, obviously. Basically, any anime that's a big anime is most likely, they most likely have a set for it in Weiss Schwarz. So if you're looking to get new TCGs, I highly recommend these, especially if you care about like the value version of these cards, because they tend to get very expensive, which we'll cover here in a second once we get to these. So yeah, when these grades come back, we'll see what they actually get when we cross that road. Speaking of quintuplets, I picked this up on eBay as well. I saw this listed. Nobody else bid on it. I bid, I think the starting bid was $250, and I think I bid like $275, you know, just as like a starting bid. I told myself if I lose, you know, whatever. But nobody else bid on it, and I ended up winning this. And I was confused because these SSPs are not easy to get. They're also not easy to get in high grades as well. So I figured, hey, not Itsuki, obviously, but it's Yotsuba. We like Yotsuba in this house, and I figured why not? So I picked it up, and I'm happy. I don't regret that at all. But bro, y'all gotta keep an eye out on eBay. Sometimes some bangers end up popping up. Speaking of Overlord, I just mentioned a couple seconds ago, I found this card one time. My goal when I went to Japan was to find either this or this Albedo card or the other one, which we find the other one. I'll show you when we get to that. And I told myself the second I find those, I'm buying them. I found this card one time. She's very playable in the deck, in the set. And because of that, it's almost impossible to find these in person, especially in good quality. One time I found it, I think it was like 150 to 200 bucks for the card, and there was a ding in the corner. So I'm like, well, let me keep looking. But in the process of me going to many card shops and finding nothing, I looked on eBay and I saw someone listed theirs for, I think they had a giant asking price, but I offered 500 and they accepted it. I was like, great. It's technically cheating buying a graded card, but it's still a little memory moment for me when I was in Japan, even though I got this here. Every time I travel, my goal is to find some kind of card, as I mentioned, well, I haven't mentioned it yet with this, that kind of represents that trip. So instead of just taking pictures, I like to buy cards, like my own version of a time capsule, because I'm gonna keep those cards forever. I'm happy I found this, and I'm glad I borrowed eBay, because at the end of the trip, I have not seen this card a single time except for the one time. I picked this up as well in actually a card shop located right across the street from my hotel, and that card shop was insane. They had a Black Lotus on sale there for like 2.2 million yen. It's like what, $16,000 with the currency conversion. They also had the original Blue Eyes as well, listed for 5 million yen, which is wild. Actually insane. My thought process of this was 44,000 yen, so roughly 370 bucks with the conversion. And I figured I'm gonna get this reviewed. If BGS ends up saying that the centering is a 10 or the corners is a 10, this magically becomes a BGS 10, a pristine 10. If not, it's still, for the price for it was pretty decent. And again, the grades, it's not about the grades, it's about the card itself. And even though I already had this card from when it first came out, it's still a nice little moment of when I ran into it in that card shop. So yeah, stay tuned for that review. Maybe BGS will look at that and be like, that should have been a 10, an upgrade. In which case, having this as a pristine 10 Blue Eyes, insane. I'm sure we're gonna get a Starlight Blue Eyes release as a quarter century rare in the next couple of weeks with the new release for the anniversary set. All right, now the fun cards. Now, as you can see in the background, I got this Dark Magician girl. One of my biggest goals when I went to Japan in December was to find this card, and this card was great. Usually with these, the big issue is the corners always messed up, or they got this like weird whitening issues around the edges, which we do not have here. The edges are 10, and the corners are 9.5, which I disagree. It could be a 10, but it is what it is. But as you can see, it's got service for 8.5. Rhyme, what happened? Well, if you look closely with the light, which I didn't do originally when I looked at this card, you see these like little weird dots. Yeah, they're all over the card. I don't know how this damage happened or what caused them to pop up the way they did. But yeah, I could not see that initially when I bought this card. And I told myself, when I go back to Japan, I'm going to find a better version of that. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. I'm not going to say what I think this card's going to get, but it doesn't have the issues on top with the whitening. The corners are perfect, and there's no damage at all on the front. So stay tuned. This is my favorite Dark Magician Girl artwork that exists. If I can get this as a 10, I'm going to be super excited. If not, it is what it is. I got a 9.5 for this, and I'm sure if I was to crack out and send to PSA, they'll easily give it a 10. But it's something about those BGS cases that make me kind of like really want them. So stay tuned, I guess. We'll see what happens with this when it comes back in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to do the normal submission for like 10 to 20 days, so it's going to probably take like 3 weeks to get those back, but stay tuned. Speaking of Dark Magician Girl, I got this. So I've been avoiding buying this card for the longest. I've seen it pop out on eBay a couple of times for the PSA 10s. By the way, Japan loves their PSA cards. I now understand why they opened a PSA office over there as well. They're everywhere. It's kind of crazy. It kind of threw me off. But I've been avoiding buying this card as a PSA 10 for the longest because I figured I could just buy it raw and grade it myself. But I really want this as a BGS 10. Again, BGS, I've just been really into the slabs for like the last year. And when I initially found this card, it was ranked S. The card shop that I got this from had special, I guess, their own grades for the cards on there. And S meant flawless. And only like 2 cards had an S rank. It was this and then the Blue Eyes that they were selling for like 5 million yen. Every other card, the best grade I saw was like A+, a bunch of A's. Speaking of which, this was, I believe, an A+. And I looked at this card from top to bottom. There was nothing wrong with it. This is a card for my girlfriend because she plays Dragon Maids and she loves Shale. And when I got this is an S. And I was like, well, if I'm ever going to get a card or a Dark Magician Dragon Knight card, this is going to be the time because it's ranked S. It's a pretty good price. I think I spent like 150 bucks on this. Let's just see what happens. So send us out to BGS and fingers crossed for not just, you know, BGS 10s, but potentially Black Label. Like, that would be insane to have. Shout out to us never getting this in English. I mean, the card sucks. I don't see why they would print Starlight, Dark Magician Girl, Dragon Knight here, but I wouldn't mind that. Maybe we'll get that in the quarter century rare as well. Yeah, as I mentioned, we got the share from the same shop. My girlfriend. And basically, I found a lot of great cards in Japan. It's kind of crazy. Shout out to me bump my camera because it's not a Rhymestyle video without me doing that. All right, we got more Weiss Schwarz cards, and these kind of get insane. The first one, Gargura. My girlfriend is super into Gargura and the Hololive world, and they just released a new Hololive set in Japan. When we first saw this is not going to be a 10. And I only know that because there is one very, very, very slight, unless they like tend to ignore. You see it right there? A little dot at the top. But again, she's a big fan of Gargura, and the card looks great. So even if this is like a 9.5, we do not care. Top, but I think the card was fairly cheap, quote unquote. I want to say it was like 140 bucks, which still sounds insane, by the way, because SPs and the SSPs for Weiss Schwarz are so insanely valuable. It's like I have a case sitting right next to me right now. It is like 24 boxes inside this, or 20 boxes, one or two. There's one hit inside the entire box. The pull rates for these SPs are insane, and in the Hololive set, I think there's like 50 different cards to pull. So yeah, B basically said if she finds a Gargura, we're getting it, and this is the first of two. First of two. I'll show you the second one here in a second, because the second one is kind of crazy. The next one we got is this for my girlfriend as well. I don't really know much about Key, but this is very, very cheap. I think this is like $6, I want to say. Another SP from a much older set, I want to say. She likes the show. I don't even know what the show this is, but set up as well. And then we also got this Miku as well. As I said, you know, big fan of quintuplets. I think this is from the movie set. It's coming out in the summer for us in English, and it's a good price. I think it was like $250-ish. Again, the beauty of going to Japan to buy cards is what they would be listed here. It's like a discount over there because of like the conversions. This is like a $350-$400 card. I think we end up paying like $90-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood, because of the conversions. And she looks great as well. So hopefully another possible BGS 10 whenever they get to it. Now the big cards. As I mentioned, my big goal when I went to Japan was to find an Albedo, specifically this one. And I knew if I found this one wasn't going to be expensive. If you're into Weiss Schwarz, you know exactly what I'm holding here. This card is insane, both the art and the playable factor for it. I found a single one of these in the entire time there, and I went to a lot of shops. So yeah, this was 111,000 yen, which translated roughly to like 870 bucks, somewhere in that neighborhood. It was a lot. And it's funny about this is when I bought this, I told myself the second I see it, I'm buying it. I do not care. And I remember I'm buying it, I'm checking it out. My girlfriend goes, "Did you do a conversion on that? It's kind of an expensive card." I'm like, "Nope, it's Albedo. I need this." If you see a character or the card, or if you see a card or the character you like, yeah, just pull the trigger. You can't just think about, well, this is expensive. You buy it. You can't, of course. And the reason why I'm bringing that story up is because literally 7 minutes later, she sees this. She sees this. This is another Gargura from the new set, and it's a chase card. It is one of the chase cards. The highest chase card in the Weiss Schwarz Hololive Volume 2 set is like $4,000. And I'm talking about these are people paying for this right now on eBay. Like, look it up. It's crazy. This is the other one. This is not $4,000. This was listed at 145,000 yen, which is roughly, I think, was $1,000. Yeah. So she sees this. She just, her jaw drops. And I walk up there and I literally say, "Now you understand why I have to buy the Albedo. Let's get this." Unfortunately, the way this card was, I guess, packaged on the sleeve, there was like a price tag on over here. So I remember I looked at it and I want to take it out because, again, this is a very valuable card, and I just kind of feel weird saying, "Hey, can I take it out of the sleeve?" with them knowing how expensive the card is. But Weiss Schwarz tends to be really good quality usually. So I'm looking at every single corner with that little price tag literally over here, which I think they did it on purpose. And I'm like, I'm sure it's good. Let's just take it. This is packed fresh. This is like a week old. I'm sure it's fine. I get home, I take it out of the sleeve, and I see this. I'm like, there's just no way. This is literally where they had the price tag. Lucky for us, again, it's not like we're buying this to flip it or anything. You know, my girlfriend loves this character. She's gonna love this card regardless of if it says BGS 10 or BGS 7 or 8 on it. So we're setting this up, but it still kind of sucks to see that, you know, we found one of these in Japan. And of course, the one that we found ended up being not the best quality, but it is what it is. So yeah. Look, man, I always say buy the card, not the grade. I know I'm kind of hypocritical here because I always try to get the highest grade possible for the cards I'm looking for. But a lot of times, if you know a card is only so obtainable, it's not about the grade. Honestly, just take it. You know, take the memory, take the card, and just kind of like, that's part of the collectible cycle. That's just how I see it. Yeah, that's the big haul. Next step is we send it to BGS and see what we get. I am going to send it in the normal submission level, so 10 to 20 days. So it'll probably take like 3 weeks, hopefully, fingers crossed. And once that gets back here, we'll have a fun little BGS video as well. So yeah. Also, if you might ask, openings, this stuff coming out. I definitely want to hop into the new Scarlet and Violet set. We got the anniversary stuff coming out with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I got literally a Weiss Schwarz case next to me as well, which I'm going to break here in a couple of seconds. So yeah, there's a lot of content coming out. Again, sorry I couldn't upload while I was gone. If I've been uploading that much on here anyways, because I've been focused on my main channel. But when I can and when I want to and I'm chasing something, I expect videos on the channel. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you did, and let me know your thoughts on anything that we found in Japan. And again, if you can, I highly recommend you go pursuing cards in Japan. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, kind of expensive, but it's a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the comment section below.